Today I'm joined by our reporter Josh Dixon and Madison Hricik. How are you all doing today?
Doing really good, yeah.
Good.
Doing good. Excited for this new football season.
Yes.
Very much so.
And that is what we are here to discuss today. JMU's first season ever in the FBS, specifically in the Sunbelt Conference. And today we're here to break down the 2022 football schedule.
It's a great balance of home and away games. I think the West Coast or West Division Sunbelt games are going to be really, really great. I love the fact that we're going to be bringing Coastal Carolina to Bridgeforth Stadium at the end of the season. I think that is absolutely exciting. And I love the fact that we get to go to App State. I mean, the last time the JMU played App State was way back when in the early 2000s. And that's an old rivalry that JMU fans are very excited to get renewed. So the fact that we get to go to Boone, North Carolina first, that's where my eye was drawn, and I love it.
Right. And so, kind of with the schedule, with this being the inaugural season in FBS and the Sunbelt, which Sunbelt games kind of stand out to you specifically the most? We have some, non-conference matchups, but of the Sunbelt games specifically, which ones stand out to you all the most?
I think for me, looking at ODU, we talked about rivalries, that Virginia rivalry, getting to reignite that with ODU. ODU joining the Sunbelt this year too. Both of us fresh in. I think that's a game to watch. It's fun. It's in Virginia, obviously, at Norfolk. And I think that's a game that I look at for JMU to assert their dominance in the start of this new rivalry.
I go back to App State. I think that's going to be a great game. I remember watching highlights of JMU versus App State from the early 2000s, early mid-90s as well, and just loving the energy and loving the intense rivalry that was. I mean, players were invested in that, and I think that's really great for a program as rich of a history as JMU is, especially going to their 51st season. Another one that I really like is Marshall on homecoming weekend. I think that'll be really fun. A Conference USA team that went to a bowl is coming to Harrisonburg for homecoming, so naturally it's going to be a really intense matchup, especially with a bowl team. But I think it's going to be great. That's another team that I can see really creating an intense rivalry with JMU over the next few years.
And I think one game that we missed, the last game of the season, Coastal Carolina. A team that has been known to dominate, 11-2 last season, really good. They've been ranked in the top 25 at least one point in the past two seasons. It's a team to look out for. They did lose to App State last year. They're not the conference reigning champions, but it's a team that I look at last game of the season in Harrisonburg. That's a game that can really put you on the map.
And of the three non-conference matchups, we got Middle Tennessee for the first game of the season, Norfolk State, which, I'm a homie, so I'm picking Norfolk State for that one. And we have Louisville. So what are you all thinking for those three games? Which ones do you think kind of be the biggest matchup of those three?
I think Middle Tennessee is going to be a great home and season opener for the Dukes. I mean, they're going to come out excited. They're going to come out ready. I'm a little biased. It's the day after my birthday, so there is a level of excitement for that. But I think it'll be a great home opener. You look at Norfolk State, I think it's also going to be another really good game. I think Norfolk State is aggressive. They're physical. And this is going to start to challenge JMU. When we were talking to Signetti a couple months back when they first announced that JMU was going full Sunbelt for football, he mentioned how it's not easy to be able to go and do back-to-back FBS teams every single week, especially when you just came from the FCS. I mean, we know JMU dominated the FCS, but turning the tides to an FBS program with the caliber that the Sunbelt has brought on, that's going to be a whole nother challenge. And then you can't ignore an ACC matchup in Louisville, Kentucky. I personally think that JMU does have a chance to take this game if they stay healthy, if they stay sharp, and if they stay prepared and focused. JMU can't compete for a Sunbelt championship or a bowl game next year, but that doesn't necessarily change the fact that I think picking up an ACC win your first year as an FBS program would be monumental for JMU.
Yeah, I definitely think there's some big games on the schedule to really put JMU on the map. Like you said, they can't compete in any bowl games. But I think winning some of these big games will really set you up for next season and put you on that national radar. You talk about Louisville, an ACC team. They haven't been great in a while. Let's be honest. Louisville hasn't been great in a while. That's a chance for you to come in and knock a Power 5 team off the map. That 5-game stretch at the end is going to be tough for JMU. You talked about it. Full FBS schedule now, 10 out of the 11 games. So it's going to be a wear on the team. And that Louisville game is definitely going to be a test on how they'll respond to that.
And I think the biggest thing everybody is looking forward to is the quarterback battle that we're walking into this season between Billy Atkins and the grad transfer. So what are your all thoughts on that?
You know, I think it's going to be really interesting, starting with spring training that, really kicks off in a couple weeks. That's going to be our first look as to what Todd Centineo and Billy Atkins are going to bring. I know Cignetti has always really enjoyed Atkins' ability to learn. He's talked about how much he's grown over the last year. And he'll be coming in as a redshirt freshman, so he'll be very young too. Centineo is a much older quarterback. He did great over at Colorado, and so I think that he's got a lot of potential. It's just a matter of how quickly the two of them can adjust to JMU's playing style and how quickly they're able to adapt and play the style of football that Cignetti wants them to see.
Yeah, I think Centineo is definitely that veteran presence who's played in the FBS coming here at JMU. And JMU coaching staff definitely looks for someone to help lead them into this transfer in conferences. And then you have Atkins, who came on the scene last year, impressed the coaching staff, earned that backup quarterback spot. So you definitely have the battle of the young and the old, that veteran leadership and that young talent. And so it'll be interesting to see and watch from behind the scenes.
And this wouldn't be an extra point segment without, picking our teams,
All right.
picking who you think's going to win. So I want each of you to give me 3 games and give me the scores for what you think those games are going to be.
Okay, I'm going to go first game Norfolk State. JMU will take that probably 28-21. And then I'll scroll down to Texas State. I will say JMU wins that by a field goal. And then the last one is I'll go ODU, and that one, I think ODU might take it because it's in ODU, but again, probably only by a field goal.
All right, for me, I'm going to start off first game of the season, Middle Tennessee. I think Duke's come out big, 45-17. We see some of that high-scoring stuff that we saw last season. It's going to slow down a bit. I see us beating Marshall too. Not by too much. I'll say 24-21. Close game. But I think the big shocker, Louisville. Give me JMU against Louisville. I'll take the Dukes 31-24. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think JMU is going to come out on top on that ACC opponent.
All right. Well, I want to thank you all for joining us today, Madison and Josh. And JMU kicks off their season on September 3rd here in Harrisonburg at Bridgeport Stadium. Thank you, and that's all we got for today.